What is up, everybody? And in today's video, we are going to be breaking down the technique of the Kiwi men's 8 from the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Olympic champions came out of nowhere and destroyed the field. So yeah, I actually had quite a lot of requests for this crew. And first off, I never really watched them row. But thanks to these guys, they had me lose like a bunch of money betting. Luckily I was the only person in our rowing club to make my money back because there were so many random performances. There was the Greek sculler who came out of nowhere. There was the Kiwi 8. There were the men's and women's 4s. I think there were some results in there that were totally different. And yeah, I would have made like, I think I was going to make like £1,000 or £2,000 if it wasn't for these guys and then the Greek sculler. But then I guess that's betting, isn't it? That's how it works. It's like I would have won a bunch of money if the roulette thing landed on the number I chose. So anyways, really like the technique of this crew. So simple, so clean, so well connected, so well in time as well. And I want to break down what I think these guys do well, and then also break down the videos that they had going into this and how some of the changes I think just looked very different. So yeah, first off, like the main things that they do well is they take the blade out square. I know, crazy, right? They take the blade out square and then they feather it. Really clean, simple, nice square release. A good drill that you can do for this. I talk about it all the time. Scroll through 30 seconds if you heard me talk about it before, but basically sit at the finish with your hands going like this with the blade squared and buried, and then practice that motion, and then practice going down and feathering, and then try and bring that into normal rowing. The next thing that they do is when they tap down, they keep their hands low. And even at the international level, you see crews, they tap down nicely and then they bring their hands back up. And then as they move forward, they keep their hands low. And what it means is they just have a really nice gap in between the blade and the water. And it means that they can square. They still square. I wouldn't say that, yeah, they square pretty early. I wouldn't say they square insanely early. And what it means is they can just have a nice direct motion with the hands here. Like let's look at the path that stroke seats hand follow. There's a nice come through like that, down, low with the hands and then back up. Let's see if I've drawn this right. We'll see if it. Oh no, he's out of frame. But you can see here. Oh. You get the idea. It's kind of hard to keep this square in frame, but he comes through with the hands, taps down, keeps the hands low. And the big mistake people will make is as they come out wide, the boat gets unstable. And as they kind of reach out and stretch out, they let their hands come back up. You want to make sure that as you come into that last part of the stroke that you keep your hands low so you can have a really nice direct low hand lift and then just simple square, lift, drive all the way through. And it's because of this simple square that these guys are able to minimize movement. They're just able to keep their rowing simple. They're not doing any unnecessary work. The light wasn't bright enough. You couldn't see my shiny forehead. That's when I know when I look at the camera and I can't see my glaring forehead that I know the lighting isn't right. When they do that, the way they place is probably the next thing. So one thing, this kind of comes to the interesting part of their technique. Through looking at their training footage, I just really noticed a big variation in how they place the blade. And I think what makes this crew good was how well they timed their timing of their drive with their patience of getting connected. And in an 8, especially in an 8 that does like 520, you have to nail this. You have to nail this getting connected and then pushing. You have to nail that timing, and you have to nail that press to such a high level. It takes so much skill. And I think what this crew did, I would have loved to hear what the coach was saying. There was a couple times the coach would say something, but then it would cut out. First off, shout out New Zealand for just sharing all their footage as well. It's so good to see crews starting to do that a little bit more, but maybe this video or this one, maybe start with this one. I know that they're obviously doing some outside hand stuff, but when it was coming to the catch here, there wasn't that much of a backsplash kind of continuously on the stroke. Some strokes they would kind of come in with the blade, some strokes they would place with good backsplash, but like here, it almost looked as if they were trying to do the technique where they fucking screen brush. Hold on. I'm sorry. Sorry, it's kind of hard to get this screen brush thing to work right. Sometimes crews like to kind of come in with the blade here, and I know obviously they're doing outside arm only, but it's a good exaggerated example here of just, I was wondering if there were a crew that they were trying to play around with pushing and coming in with the blade at the same time. Because in some other clips you could see like they didn't have as much of a kind of like backsplash or a placement on the blade. They would be very quick to like come in with the blade. They would almost push before, it would seem like before they were connected. So in this shot here, they're kind of coming in this direction. And the theory of the catch is there's two ways you can do it. You come in with the blade in the direction of the water. You then don't get any backsplash on the back of the spoon, or you lift the spoon directly up, but then doing that, you get a bit of backsplash on the back of the spoon. I recommend people look for the backsplash because it's an easier way to teach, in my opinion. It's a bit more counterintuitive. At the higher levels, with higher skill level, you can do the rowing in well. But that's one thing I was wondering as I was watching this crew. You just see a little bit here of that kind of blade pushing before there is connection here. You can see that body angle just changed slightly. But I wondered how much time they spent playing around with that timing, being too early on the legs, being too quick to get away, because in these videos they just time it so smoothly, and they time it so well. Shout out Eamon, by the way, for having this footage. Just watching them row, so simple, so well timed. There's almost like no delay as they go into the front. It's just kind of a simple in, connect, push. A nice smooth drive. There's no sudden acceleration at the catch or at the finish. It's just a very like kind of rhythmical, sort of timed, really well placed. The other thing I would say is Hamish Bond, in my opinion, the greatest rower ever. Physiological freak. You can see here, this is a different technique that he had. In the pair squaring late, they would kind of come in with the blade, but you can see compared here, this is actually a really good example of the two differences. He would kind of come in a little bit with a body, and you can see his body opens to put the blade in. He kind of opens with the blade to get it in, and you can get away with this a little bit more in a heavyweight 8. In the smaller boats, you definitely don't want to do this because what you're doing is you're sending force on the foot plate. But as we look at 4-seat here and 3-seat, still in the bodies, and then they lift, they get the blade in before they push, and they still kind of getting on to the point. They still open the backs pretty early. That's one thing they do, is they do the legs and backs almost at the same time. So interesting to see. But yeah, they drive through simply. Nice, clean, quiet finish. Nice, clean blade work. Pretty simple. Like I don't really have much more to say than just this is done really effectively. And I'm guessing that they got here by doing a lot of work, playing around with that timing, playing around with being too early, being too late, taking too long to get connection, not taking enough time to get connection, and just a great crew to watch. for sure. So actually, I don't actually have that much to say, which is rare. So yeah, if you found this video useful, like the video. If you want more videos like this, comment below. And yeah, all the best, everybody. Cheers.